What's up everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about how to create a custom WordPress plugin so that way we can have custom post types and custom taxonomies. Alright, so what is a custom taxonomy? What is a custom post type? Well, a post type, if you go over to a WordPress website, I'm going to open up my admin section. I'm going to go over here to the dashboard. So we have the post type, which is your blog post. Then you have your pages post type, which is your static pages like your about page, your services page, your product pages, things of that nature. But besides that, you also have the attachment post type, which is for image attachments. You have your revision post type for any revisions you've made on your site in terms of your post and pages. Then you have your navigation post type. You have your custom CSS post type, which is when you go to the customizer. Let's say you're going to go over here to appearance and customize. If you're going to add additional CSS, your custom CSS right here, that creates a post type, and that's affiliated or associated directly with the theme. Then you also have the change sets post type, which is similar to the autosave, but it's specifically for the customizer, and the user data request post type. Alright, so in this video, I'm going to show you how to create custom post types and how to create a WordPress plugin in order to be the main location for your code. You could also take this code and put it into the functions.php file, but if you're going to be distributing the code to the public, it's best practice to have it in a plugin so that way you don't theme lock a person to any particular theme, and the functionality will exist no matter what theme they use. Now, if you're creating a custom theme for yourself as a developer and you want to keep everything organized inside of your theme files, you could put this code within your functions.php file, but we'll be going the route of using a custom plugin. So you're going to learn two things: how to create a custom WordPress plugin and how to create custom post types and taxonomies. Now, I'm creating this video because I'm in the process of recording a full stack web development tutorial series right here on YouTube. And in that series, I'm going to be showing you how to code with HTML, with CSS, with JavaScript, with jQuery, with PHP, with MySQL. I'll be teaching you how to use Node.js, how to use Gulp.js, how to use Git for version control, and the Linux command line. So a lot of the information I'm going to be putting on my website, which is pixumweb.com. So I'm going to be creating a custom post type, and it's going to be basically for my tutorials. Alright, so if you haven't already done so, make sure you subscribe to this channel because I create videos on how to code for WordPress, how to manage a WordPress powered website, how to secure WordPress, some videos on search engine optimization, and how to be a freelancer. So take a moment and make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so that way when I create a new video, you'll be notified. Alright, so for this video, I'm going to be using a local server setup, and I'll be using MAMP for this demonstration. If you need a local web server, I have two videos you could check out. One of them is MAMP and how to use MAMP for WordPress development. And I also have Vagrant, which is a more advanced way to work with WordPress locally on your computer. You're also going to need a code editor, and I'm going to be using the Atom text editor, which is a great open source and free text editor that's easily extendable. You could also use Visual Studio Code, Sublime Text, or any editor that you feel comfortable with. And this is the theme I'm going to be using since I already have it set up on my local server. This is the DevWP WordPress development training theme that I've been using to teach people how to code a custom WordPress theme. I'll leave a link to that video in the card section and down in the description area, so definitely check that area out. Whenever you're creating a custom post type, it's going to be working directly with your theme, regardless of the way you do it, whether it's a plugin or if it's going to be embedded code right within your functions.php file. Alright, so let's get started. I'm going to jump to my text editor, and I already have some very basic code set up over here just to speed up the process. I brought in my wp-content folder over here, and this is for my local WordPress installation. You could bring in a whole entire WordPress folder if you want, but I just wanted to focus over here. And over here in the plugins folder, what I did was I created a new folder and I called it tutorials. And then inside of that folder, I created a very basic index.php file. I just have the opening PHP tag there with the comment of silence is golden. It's a best practice for your various directories, especially the ones that have PHP files in them, that you put a blank index.php file, and that's for security purposes. Then I created a tutorials.php file itself, and notice that the name of the main file, tutorials.php, is spelled exactly like the folder itself, tutorials. That's going to be important, so make sure you have that just like that. And then what I did is I opened up my PHP tag over here, and then I have a comment block, and this comment block is for the plugin header, and this is going to be important information you're going to need to provide. So the first line over here, the plugin name, called the tutorials, plugin URI. Now this would be the path to where the plugin can be found on your website, on the WordPress repository, repository, things of that nature. I'm just leaving it to my website itself, but you would typically have it saying, say, your website / and then the page for the demonstration of your plugin. The next line's for description. I gave a very short basic description, but you may want to be a little bit more comprehensive, especially if you're going to be putting this on the WordPress repository. But for here, I just called it tutorials, custom post types, and taxonomies. Then we have our version number. So I just put 0.1. The author, Joel from Pixelweb. The author URI. This is where you can learn more about me, my website, and the about page. Then the license is GPL2. And then text domain is going to be tutorials. And then over here, we closed out the comment block. Now, for your PHP files, you're going to want to make sure you have some basic security set up for it. And this is to prevent direct access. And this is for your PHP files. It's not going to be used for your JavaScript files. It's not going to be used for any other files. Just your PHP files directly. So the first line over here says we have an if conditional. We have our parentheses. And then inside of there, we have the exclamation point to negate the defined. And then a set of parentheses. And then inside there, inside single quotation marks, we have the absolute path. This is a WordPress constant. So if a person tries to access a file directly from the browser or any other way and is not using the WordPress system itself, then it'll just exit. This is a very basic security feature. Now, another thing you might find within a plugin folder is you might find a JavaScript folder. So you can go over here to tutorials, new folder, and call it JS, and then go to tutorials again, new folder, and make sure you're always going to be within that folder that you're working with, your main plugin folder. And we can call this CSS. So we have our CSS files will be located here and our JavaScript files will be there. All right, so I'm going to save this over here. I'm going to go back to the web browser. I'm going to toggle this icon over here so we can get the admin bar again. I'm going to go to dashboard. I'm going to go to plugins, installed. And now you see we have this tutorials plugin right here. If you click on activate, nothing's really going to happen because we haven't really added any real code to this. So now we're going to be creating our custom post types. All right, so we're not going to activate it now because we want to make sure that we put in our code and we want to take care of flushing the rewrite when the activation of a plugin is triggered. So we're going to go back to our text editor. Going to go right here. And what I'll do is I'm going to first create our function for the custom post type. So what I'll do is I'll go to a new line right here. I'm going to type out the word function, and then I'm going to call this create tutorials CPT, and that's short for custom post type. Then I'll put in my parentheses like that. And then I'll put in my opening and closing curly braces. Go to a new line. And now when you're creating your custom post type, you're going to want to create your labels and your arguments. So the first thing we'll do over here is create a labels variable. Go to a new line, and then I'll put the semicolon over here. But right here, what I'll do is I'll give it the first key and then the value to go along with it. So we're going to say our quotation marks right there, call it name, go outside. And then we're going to use the equal sign and then the greater than symbol, tab it, double underscore, opening parentheses, and then the name is going to be tutorials. And then we'll use a comma, and then we'll put another set of single quotation marks, then say post type general name. And then we'll put in our text domain. So I'll put in a comma, tutorials. And then outside of that parentheses, the closing one right there, I'll put in a comma, go to a new line. And then I'll put in another single quotation marks, and I'll say singular underscore name. And then again, the equal sign with the greater than symbol, then double underscore parentheses, single quotation marks, and I'll say tutorial, then a comma. And then I'll just copy this right here, paste it right there. Then I'll say post type singular name. We'll save that. Outside of here, put in a comma and go to a new line. And then we'll create another key value pair here. I'll put in the single quotation marks, put in menu, name. Again, we'll do that. Double underscore. Then again, we'll put in our parentheses. And then this is going to be for the menu name that we're going to be using. So we'll say tutorials. And then I'll put in my text domain. All right, so now over here, we're gonna, let me bring this up. Let me close the sidebar there. Then we're gonna say the name for the admin bar. So we have the name for the admin bar there. double underscore, parentheses, tutorials. And the same thing, we'll do this over here. All right, so we're going to go to the next line over here. And what we're going to want to do is when you're creating your custom post types, and in this case, we're creating tutorials, you might be creating products or real estate listings, cars, or anything else on your website. You're going to want to make sure that you enable it to have archive support. And that means that if you're going to have multiple listings of that particular product or tutorial, you'll have the archives page. And I'll show you how to create a custom archive page. But for here, let's put in the archives. I'm just going to grab this over here, paste it right there, and then I'll just say tutorial archives. All right, so actually the archives value over here, the key value, this is the string used for the archives in the nav menus. So let me go over here and I'll just say capitalize that T, tutorial archives. Then I'll go to a new line over here, put in single quotation marks again. All items. I'm just going to grab this line right here, copy that. All tutorials. Go to new line. And then we're going to put in single quotation marks and add underscore new underscore item. I'm going to set this up. Then I'll type out the single quotation marks, add new tutorial. All right, so we have that one. That should be a comma. Go down to a new line, and then we'll just say add new. Double underscore, parentheses, add new. I'm saving this as I go along. It's always good to save your work as you're progressing, so that way, if for whatever reason your system crashes, at least you have your saved product or your saved code. All right, so I'll go to a new line over here. New item. New tutorial. Now, when you see these over here, these are the text domain. So you don't want to keep that consistent. So I'm going to copy this line over here just to speed up the workflow. Instead of new item, we're going to say edit item, edit tutorial. And then we'll do the same over here, but now we'll have it set to update, update tutorial. And then over here, for viewing it, view tutorial. And then we'll go over here, view tutorials. So this is for the singular, this is for the plural version. Next line. And then we'll say search tutorials. And then if nothing's found, we'll say here, not found, not found. Go to a new line. Let me just copy this here. And this one's going to be for not found in trash. This is the message that'll be displayed. Save that. And now for this plugin, we're going to want featured images. So I'll put in over here, featured image. And then inside here, featured image. Tutorials. Let me scroll up. I'm going to copy this real quick. Go to the next line. Paste. And then this one's going to be set featured image. So this is going to be for all of our labels. So this is the labels variable here that has the array with all these key value pairs. And this is letting WordPress know what functionality or what type of features this post type is going to have. Go to a new line. Let's paste that there. For this one, we'll say remove featured image. Remove featured image. Next line. Here we'll say use featured image. Use as featured image. Alright, I'm just going to double check my code from here. Make sure everything's looking the way it should. We have the name with the value here. Singular name. Menu name. Name admin bar. Archives. All items. Add new item. Add new. New item. Edits. Update. View item. Actually, this one right here should be view items with an S. Okay. Search item. This should be search items. That's why it's important to go over your code just in case you have any errors that you might not have caught earlier on. Maybe you're typing too fast or maybe you missed something. So that's something you're going to want to look out for. Not found in trash, featured image, set featured image, remove featured image, use featured image. All right. So far, so good. If we run into any trouble, I'll show you what it is and how to get around it or how to fix it. All right, so for here, we'll put another set of single quotation marks, insert, underscore, into, underscore item. And then over here, single quotation marks, insert, into, tutorial. And then the tutorial's text domain. Put a comma there, go to a new line, and then we'll say over here, we'll put in uploaded to this item. And then we'll say uploaded to this item. Actually, we'll say tutorial. Save that. Then we'll say over here items, list, I'll set that up, and then we'll say tutorials list. Then tutorials. Go down here. Items underscore list underscore navigation. Set that up there, and then I'll say tutorials list navigation. Let me go ahead and make these capitalized. All right, so next one we'll put in filter items list. Then filter tutorials list. All right. So over here, we'll go down here after the semicolon. Let me scroll up a little bit. And now we're going to create our arguments variable. So I'll say $args. And this is going to be an array as well. Put the semicolon there. And then over here, what we're going to do is say label tutorial, then the text domain, and then go down here and type out description, and then I'll say full stack or just tutorials. Tutorials. All right. Always remember to put your commas at the end over here. And then we'll say labels. And then we're going to use the variable that we created above of labels, comma. Now for the menu icon, you could choose a couple of different options. There's actually a bunch of them. But I'm going to be using the, dash icons, editor, and video. We might swap this out. We'll see how that looks. Pretty much what this is going to create is, let me go back to the browser real quick. You have these icons towards the left-hand side. So that's what we're going to be using. We're going to be using a video dash icon. If we need to change that out, we'll do so. And then supports. We're going to make this an array as well. We're going to say we want the title supported. We want the editor supported. We want thumbnails, revisions, author. Put a comma there just in case we want to add more items. What else could you add to that? Well, we could add page attributes, post formats, custom fields, trackbacks, comments, the excerpt, things of that nature. But we're building this out slowly, and then if we need to make any revisions, I'll come back to this. So over here, we'll say taxonomies. And this is going to be an array of what supported taxonomies you're going to create or support in general. So I'll come back to that in a moment. The next thing we're going to say is public. We're going to make that the Boolean value of true, meaning that's going to be publicly accessible. And then we'll say show underscore UI. I'm going to make that true as well. Go to a new line, and then we'll say show in menu. And we'll set that to true. Notice for your Boolean values, you're not surrounding them with quotation marks. And then next we'll say menu, position, and we're going to give it the position of 5 for now. And what that means is the position in the actual admin section over here in the toolbar where it's going to be placed. Okay, so the next thing we're going to put in is show in admin bar. Show in admin bar. Okay. We're going to set that to true. And then show in nav menus. And we'll set that to true. And then if you want to be able to export it, you can say can export and set it to true. Or if you want to set it to false, you can set it to false. Then we'll say has underscore archive. Set that to true. And then we'll say over here, higher, I want to make sure I spell this correctly, archigal. We'll set that to false. And then we'll say exclude from search. Set that to false. Like if a person's searching on your website with the search field, if you don't want it to be searchable, then you just set that to true. But here we're saying that we do want it to be searchable, so we set it to false. And then we're going to say show in REST. And this is for the REST API. And we'll set that to true. I'll create another video tutorial talking about the REST API, because with that you could do a lot more advanced things. Alright, so the next line will be publicly underscore queryable. And we'll set that to true. And then the capability type, you can either set this to be similar to a post or to a page. So for now, we'll say post. comma. By setting it to a post capability type, it could be similar to regular blog posts, and you'll be able to use taxonomies with it. All right, so now we'll go to the taxonomy section. What I want to do here is first give us the ability to use categories and the post tags. So I'll say category, and then I'll say post underscore tag. So that's what we're going to be supporting for now. Let's quickly review the code, make sure that everything's looking the way it should. So we have our label. Actually, let me make this one over here capitalized. We have the full stack web dev tutorials. We have the labels, the Dashucon editor video. We're pretty much making sure our syntax is correct and that we're spelling everything the way we should. We have it set to public true. All right, so now down here, let me scroll up over here. We're gonna now, after this semicolon right there, we're gonna type out register post underscore type, like that, comma, tutorials, comma, args. Now save that. I'll scroll up. Let's see what's taking place here. Make sure everything's good. Okay. And then under this closing curly brace, we're going to type out the add action. We're going to use the init hook. That's the one you're going to want to use. And I'll do another video on hooks and filters and things of that nature. But for here, we're using the init hook, comma. And then we're going to want to grab our custom post type right here. Place it right there. Outside of there, we'll put a comma. Then we'll say 0. Put our semicolon. Save that. And actually now what I want to do is also add another key value pair here before we push forward. And this is going to be the rewrite. And we're going to say it's an array, slug, and then tutorials. This is for the slug of the actual post type. So if we go here, let's go over here to the post, let's say categories. If we go over here to like one of these over here, you see it's a category, social media, stuff like that. So we're going to want the slug to be tutorials. So that's why we're setting that over there. All right, so now in order to get the rewrites to work when the plugin's activated, we're going to be using the register activation hook, and we're going to use the rewrite flush. We're going to give WordPress the ability to flush the rewrite rules. So we'll go over here. We're going to type out another function. We're going to call it rewrite toots flush, just to keep it short. Parentheses. Put in our curly braces. Go to a new line. And then over here, we'll say we're going to grab this right here. Put in the parentheses, semicolon. And then we're going to say flush rewrite rules. And then outside of that closing curly brace right there, we'll say register activation hook parentheses double underscore file in all caps double underscore comma, and then we'll take this right here, copy that, paste it right there, and then our semicolon. So when we activate the plugin itself, it's going to be able to give WordPress the ability to rewrite those permalinks. Now, if you're putting this into a theme, it's going to be a different type of code. And what I'll do is I'll leave a link in the description area to some of the pages on the codex of WordPress that you could take a look at to see some of the other examples. All right, so now I'm going to scroll back up, use my mini map. And then over here, what I want to do is add 2 more items as well. After the archives, I'm going to type out attributes, tutorial attributes, and then over here I'll type out parent item colon, and actually that should be in single quotation marks, parent tutorial. Just make sure to put the commas there. All right, so we have the attributes, the tutorial attributes that we're adding there with the text domain, and the parent item colon parent tutorial with the text domain. All right, so let's save this over here. Let's actually test this out, see if this is working. Go back to our browser. Let's go over here to dashboard. Let's go to plugins, installed. And now let's activate this over here. Okay, we have a syntax error on line 72. So let's see what that is. And that's over here. We forgot to put in our semicolon. Very simple mistake. You could also put a comma here if you want, but that wasn't the error that we got. Go back here. Let's reload this page. Let's try to activate it again. And now we have it activated. And now you see over here, we have it over here in the admin section, tutorials. We can go to all tutorials. We can add new. Let's clean up some of the way it's formatted here because you see it's not capitalized here. Let's go back here and we're going to want to change it here. Make that capitalized. Capitalize there. Capitalize there as well. And that should be it. Save that. Go back to the browser. Let's reload. And now you see it's capitalized up there, capitalized here, and here. And we have the support for categories and tags. All right, so now let's see what happens when we click on Add New. I'm going to say this is HTML. And then I'm going to put in some lorem ipsum over here. Okay, so you see we have here, we have the title capability, the editor. We also have the author. We have the publish, save draft, things of that nature. We have the categories you could work with and the tags. We also have the featured image. So now let's say we publish this. Let's say view post. And now you see here, we have the featured image. Now I'm using the default featured image plugin, so that's why this is being inserted there. But we have our content displayed there. Now, if you look up here, I'm using the show current template plugin. So it's telling me I'm using the single.php file for this. What if you wanted to have a custom layout for this? Let's say you wanted to have a customized single page template for this. How can you get that done? For that, we will create a single-tutorials.php file. Now for that, what I recommend doing is creating a child theme. So for that, we'll go back to our editor. Let me bring the sidebar in here. And what I'll do is over here, I'm going to go to the themes section and I'm going to create a child theme for DevWP. So over here in themes, I'll right click, new folder, and I'll call it DevWP-child. So now we have another folder here, and then I'll right click, new file, make sure I'm going into that folder there. Then we have to create a style.css file here. I have another video on how to create WordPress child theme, so definitely check that out. But this is just going to be a basic run through on how to do this. So I'll put in a comment block there. And then we're going to need to add some information here. So we're going to say theme, name, child of dev WP, and then description, dev WP child theme, go to a new line, author, say Joel, author URI, put that in there as well, new line. Then template, we have to put this in here. We have to make sure we're using DevWP there, because that's going to let WordPress know what template it's going to be working with or looking for. Go to a new line, say version 1.0.0, license, GPL2. All right, so the next thing we're going to have to do is to make sure we include a style sheet properly. So over here, what I'll do is I'm going to add action. Actually, no, not here. This is our style.css file. So in the child theme there, I'm going to right click, new file. I'm going to create another functions.php file. Okay, so over here, I'll type out add action. And I'm using WP_NQ scripts, comma, dev WP child styles. That's what I'll call that. You have to put this in single quotation marks right there, semicolon. All right, so let's go to a new line. Then I'll create a function. I'm going to copy this, paste it right there, put in my parentheses, my curly braces. Then I'm going to use WP_NQ_style. I think I spelled that incorrectly. Okay, put in our parentheses there, And I'll say parent style, comma. Then I'll use the get underscore template underscore directory underscore URI parentheses. Then I'm going to append to that. Then I'll put the / style.css. Let me make sure that's what I'm doing here. I'm going to go to my functions.php file here. I'm actually calling this one in here. So I'll grab that. Basically, you would get the style.css file, but in the DevWP theme, I have a minified file. So that's why that's a little bit different. Make sure you put in your semicolon there. Let's take a look at this. I see I have the typo here as well. Got to put that in there. Make sure your code looks like this. Okay, so now we're going to save this. We're going to go back to our browser. Going to go to themes, and let's see if our child theme is working. We have the child theme right here, child of DevWP. You see this over here? This is because I'm using Gulp in the demonstration of how to code a WordPress theme. So you can ignore this broken themes down here. This is what we're looking at right here. So we're going to activate the child theme, and we're going to make sure everything works properly. Now we'll visit site. We see we have that there. Go to dashboard. We still have tutorials because we're using a plugin. That's why we created the plugin itself. So review here. We see it's still calling in the single.php file. So now we're going to create a another file. And what I'll do is I'll go into my DevWP theme. I'm going to go here to the single.php. I'm going to grab all the code from here, or we could actually save it, and we're going to save it in our child theme right there. Then we'll say single tutorials. We'll save that. Let's go back to the browser. If you see here, I have the single.php being used currently. Let's reload. And now you see it says single tutorials.php. So now what you can do is you can customize the layout. So let's say I'm going to go over here and I'm going to make this full column. So I'm going to take that out. I'm going to comment that out right there. Comment that out. And comment this out. All right, so if everything's okay, if we haven't broken anything, I'm doing a dry run over here. Let's see if we have a full screen layout now. And yes, we do. Now we have the full screen 12 columns. Now the thing to remember when you're creating the template file for this, you're going to want to use the same name as the actual custom post type. So I use single-tutorials.php because that's the name of my custom post type. Now let's say you want to have an archive. So if you don't have an archive set up, let's see over here, go to dashboard, go to tutorials, all tutorials. So if we view that, we see we have the single page there. But now let's say I'm going to actually create another tutorial. So over here, you see it's lowercase. Let me go back to the code editor and fix that up. See where that's coming in from. And it's right here. Make that a capitalized. Go back. Let's reload. Now you see it's tutorials. So we can say new tutorials. Let me type out CSS. I'm going to paste in some lorem ipsum here, and I'm going to publish it. Let's view this now. Now we have the single for this one. But if we go here, we have the tutorials archive page, but it's just using the archive.php file. And that might be okay, but if you want to customize that, you go down here. What I'll do is I'll go into the main theme. I'll get that archive.php page. I'm going to do a save as and make sure I put it into my child theme. And archive-tutorials.php and then save. Okay. So now let's go back over here. Let's reload. Well, you see it's archive.php file for now. Let's reload. And now we have archive-tutorials.php. And now let's change something around here. Now I have a lot of code here because I have some customization features built into DevWP. But here you could do the same thing that you did with the single tutorials. You can change the layout options of it. You can change the formatting, things of that nature. All right, so let's go back to the browser. I want to show you something else. If we go over, let's go do a search here. All right, so if I search here, search results, we see that, right? That's fine. But now if I go to the blog page itself, we see we have the post 16, post 15, 14, etc. What we don't see is the actual custom post types. Now, what if you want to mix that in? Let's say you're going to be blogging on your website, but you also want to, add some of your tutorials to the chronological order. You you want to add it to the main query. How do you do that? All right, so I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to go over here to this functions.php file. Then I'm going to add this function here, function add tutorials or toots cpt query. Now I'm just making up this function name, and then in here, then I'll say if is underscore home and $ query is main query parentheses. So then I'll put in query dash set parentheses post type array, and then we have our standard ones there, the post page, but then we want to add in tutorials to that. Put in our semicolon there, and then we'll return query. I will save that. I'm going to go down here. We're going to type out add action parentheses, and then we're going to use the pre-get post hook over here. Put in a comma. Then we're going to grab this here, place it there. We're going to save this. All right, so we created a function, add to CPT query. Then we're checking to see if is home and the query is main query. If both of these conditions are true, then we're going to run this code. We're going to have the query dash set. We're going to set that. Then post type, array, post, page, and tutorials. Then we'll return the query. Then outside that curly brace, we use the add action, pre-get post, and then add to CPT query. All right, let's see if that worked. Let's go back to our browser. Currently, this is how it would look on the blog roll page itself. It doesn't include that. Let's reload and see if that took effect. Okay, actually over here what we have to do is put in the query because we have to intercept that. All right, let's see if that fixed it. Go back to the browser, reload. All right, so now you see that on the blog roll page, we have our CSS tutorial and the HTML tutorial mixed in. I'm bringing in some other stuff as well. So that's why now you see these items as well, besides the post 16 and the other stuff. But now it's bringing in more items. If you go back over here, you see what I did here is I mixed in the pages with the actual blog content. So that's why you got all those. You could take that out. Let's cut this out. Go back over here. Let's go back to blog. Scroll down. Now you have the CSS and the HTML there as well. But now you don't have the other pages that I had created as well. Now we just have the posts. So that's how you can actually, inside of your custom code here, you can determine what you want to mix in there. If you want to mix in the pages, you could do that as well. All right, so now what I want to do, let me close this off over here. I'm going to go back to actually let me X out of that one, X out of that one, this one. Let me go back here. So I'm going to go to the bottom because now what I want to do is talk about custom taxonomies. So that is, I'm going to put a comment block there, custom taxonomies. Okay. So these are going to be like the categories and the tags, but we may want to have some custom taxonomies that'll be named different. So what I'll do here is I'm going to create another function, toots custom taxonomies. Go down here, and then underneath it, I'll say add action parentheses. I'm going to use the init hook again. And then we're going to say, we're going to call this in right here. Make sure to put in our semicolon there. All right, so in here, what I'll do is I can say register underscore taxonomy. Open the parentheses there. I'm going to put in my semicolon in that one so that way I don't forget it later on. And then what I'm going to do is say, let me actually bring this to one line first. Go over here. Let me start off by giving it some labels. So I'll say labels, we'll create that variable, array, and then we'll say the name is going to be front-end developer. And then we'll put in taxonomy general name. And then we'll put in our text domain. Remember, that's tutorials. Put in a comma there. Go to the next line. Type out singular name. That should be inside single quotation marks. And then we'll say, we'll call this here developers. We'll call this developer. I'm just going to copy this here, put the comma there, take that one out, and then singular. What I'll do now is I'll just write out all the code, and then I'll just walk you through what it does just to speed up the process. All right, so now let me run through this. What we did here is we created our function, toots underscore custom underscore taxonomies, and then we created the labels variable right here with an array. And then inside that array, we have the key value pairs. We have the name, developers, taxonomy general name, and tutorials for the text domain. Singular name is going to be developer, singular name. Search items, search developers. All items, all developers. For the parent item, we're putting it to null. And for the parent item colon, we're putting that to null as well. Then edit item, edit developer. Update item, update developer. Add new developer. New item name, new developer name. Separate items with commas. Separate developers with commas. Add or remove items. Choose from the most used developers. And then if it's not found, then the menu name. Then make sure you close off that array right here. And you have the semicolon. Then we create another variable, the args variable. And that's going to be an array as well. Then from here, we're going to make it hierarchical false. Then we're going to call in the labels variable. And then we're going to say show in UI. We're going to make that true. Show admin column, true. Update the count callback. Update post term count. And then query var is going to be set to true. And then rewrite is going to be set to the array slug equals developer. This is the next one here. We don't need that. Register taxonomy, developer, tutorials, we need it to be in the custom post type of tutorials, and then args, we're calling the arguments from here, and then we have the add action in it, toots custom taxonomies, and then 0. Let's save that, go to the browser, reload here, go to our dashboard, and now we go to tutorials, we also have, besides the categories and tags, we have the developer. So if you want to add multiple developers, let's say there's more than one coder as part of your team, you can do that here. So let's say Joel, add new developer, and you see it's right there. Right now it has no post there. If we go to view, right now we have the 404 page being called in. Let's go back, go to our permalinks, save changes again. Go back here, tutorials, developer, view, and now we have nothing found here. That's because we haven't associated any articles or any code with the developer Joel. So if we go back here, go to tutorials, all tutorials, and then let's say we're going to edit here, and then we're going to add it to developers Joel. And we'll just click on add. The reason we're doing it like this is because sometimes there'll be more than one developer that's participating within the code. So now it'll act like tags where you could have more than one. We'll update that. We'll view the post. If we go over here, go to tutorials, developer, you now see we have one over here. If you go to view, you're going to see that this one article comes up over here. Don't mind this over here. This is just a feature of DevWP where I'm bringing in the video and putting it below the content. So don't mind this over here. But basically it's just calling in the CSS article that's associated with Joel. Now if you wanted, you could have more than one taxonomy registered. All you would have to do is just copy everything from here all the way up to here, making sure to grab all that code and then paste it in. And we're going to start changing this up a little bit. I'm going to pause the video, change all this up to something different, and then I'll show you how it looks. All right, so let's say for some reason you want to use both names, coders and developers. But in this one, we're going to just call it coders. This is just for demonstration purposes. So obviously you'll probably choose a different naming convention, but just for simplification, I just wanted to show you this. So we changed out the name over here to coders. We're keeping the other one as developers. This is just to create another taxonomy. So I'll go down here, new coder taxonomy, just to keep it easy to identify. All right, so we have the name coder, singular name coder. Everything's going to be the same except we're swapping out developer or developers for coder or coders. So just make sure everything's proper the way it should be. Scroll down, make sure you change the rewrite slug here, and then in the registered taxonomy, it'll be coder. Save that. Go back here, go to the dashboard. We're going to have to take care of the permalinks again. Save. If you go to tutorials, now you have developer and coder. So let's say over here, add new coders. Right now it's set to 0. Let's go to tutorials. Let's go to this one. Let's say instead of developers, we're going to call this one Joyce. We'll add that. We'll update. And now if we go to all tutorials, if we go to coder over here, you see she now has one article. We can view it and you see it right here for the HTML. Alright, so now we have our custom taxonomies to go along with our custom post types. And we did all this with a custom plugin that we created over here, installed, and we're just calling it tutorials. Now there's a lot more you could do with this, but I just wanted to give you a basic overview of how to do this. What we have, let's just do a recap of what we did. We have our plugin that we created, plugin name, tutorials, we have the plugin URI, the description, the version number, author URI, the license, and text domain. We have a little bit of security built into it over here to make sure that the files cannot be accessed directly. And then we have the function that we created, create tutorial CPT. And these are the values, the key and value pair in an array for the variable called labels. Over here we have another variable called args, and there we have the array with the key and value pairs. We've registered our post type over here, tutorials, args, and then we had the add action over here using the init hook, and then create tutorial CPT. Then we also use the function rewrite toots flush. This is a function that I created right here. This is a function name I created. And then we're using our create tutorial CPT function from above over here. And then we're using the flush rewrite rules function here. Then we're using the register activation hook, _file, comma, rewrite toots flush. Then we scroll down. Then we have our custom taxonomies. So we have 2 taxonomies we created. We have the developers and then we have the coders. And that's the information for that. We use the register taxonomy for that one, coder, tutorials, args, add action, init, and then we're using the toots custom taxonomies. And then we also created a child theme over here where we have the child theme information here. We created a single tutorials.php file and an archive tutorials.php file. And we also have the functions.php file as well. So that is a basic overview of custom post types and custom taxonomies. All right, so we go back here. And we see we have that there. All right, so this wraps up the video on how to create a custom WordPress plugin, how to use custom post types, how to create custom taxonomies, and some other features as well. There's a lot further that you can take this, and I'll leave links in the description area down below, and also in the card section in the upper right-hand corner. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I create videos on how to code WordPress themes and how to code WordPress plugins, how to manage a WordPress powered website, and more. So if you found this video helpful, give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, smash that notification bell, leave your comments down below. And if you want to learn how to code a WordPress theme, check out the video on how to code a WordPress theme with DevWP. And I will see you in the next video. Take care.